Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, or if you're new here, then welcome aboard the SSC Achievers. Today, we're diving into the comprehensive list of India's current cabinet ministers and their diverse portfolios. It's like the Avengers. If the Avengers were responsible for things like rural development and fertilizer distribution. Now, I know what you're thinking. Indian politics. Isn't that all like incredibly complicated and full of acronyms I don't understand? And to that, I say, you're not wrong. But stick with me, because understanding who these ministers are and what they do is vital to understanding how India functions and how it might function in the future. After all, these are the people making decisions that affect millions, if not billions of lives. So buckle up, grab your notebooks, or, just open another tab on your browser, because we're about to embark on a whirlwind tour of Indian bureaucracy. First up, we have Shri Singh, our esteemed Minister of Defense. Now, running a country's military is no walk in the park. It's more like a full-contact sprint through a minefield, while juggling chainsaws and trying to explain to your accountant why you need to buy 3,000 new tanks. From safeguarding borders to modernizing the armed forces and dealing with, Mr. Singh has got his plate full. And let's not forget the ever-present shadow of China, looming over everything like a really big shadow that happens to have the world's largest army. No pressure, Raj. Next, we have the man with the most intense stare in Indian politics, Shri Amit Shah, Minister of Home Affairs and Cooperation. This is the guy who keeps things from falling apart on the home front. Think of him as India's very own, slightly less sarcastic Nick Fury, but instead of Shai-eld, he's got the Central Armed Police Forces, the Intelligence Bureau, and the responsibility of maintaining internal security. And if that wasn't enough, he's also in charge of cooperation, which sounds lovely and wholesome. But knowing Indian politics probably involves at least 4 different levels of bureaucratic maneuvering and a healthy dose of political maneuvering. Hold on to your hats, folks, because we're about to enter the fast lane with Shri Nitin Jairam Gadkari, the Minister for Road Transport and Highways. This is the man who's making India's infrastructure dreams a reality, one highway at a time. He's like the Bob the Builder of India, except instead of fixing a leaky faucet, he's building thousands of kilometers of roads and bridges. And let's be clear, this isn't just about getting from point A to point B a little faster. This is about connecting communities, boosting the economy, and hopefully reducing the number of times you have to swerve to avoid a rogue cow on the road. Although, let's be honest, this is India. There will always be a rogue cow somewhere. Our next contestant is Shri Jagat Prakash Nadda, the Minister of Health and Family Welfare and Chemicals and Fertilizers. Yes, you heard that right. Health and fertilizers all rolled into one. It's like a government ministry starter pack. On the one hand, he's responsible for ensuring the well-being of 1.3 billion people. No pressure, just the health of 1 billion souls resting on your shoulders. And on the other hand, he's got to make sure the crops are growing, which, let's be honest, is probably just as important. Because if the people aren't dying from preventable diseases, they've got to eat, right? It's a delicate balancing act, like trying to juggle a scalpel, a baby, and a sack of fertilizer. From healthcare and fertilizers, we move on to the man in charge of putting those fertilizers to good use. Meet Shri Shivraj Singh Chauhan, the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development. This is the man responsible for keeping India's agricultural sector, which employs a significant chunk of the population, afloat. He's basically India's farmer-in-chief, tasked with the Herculean task of ensuring food security for a country that's basically a subcontinent. And let's not forget about rural development, which is a whole other beast entirely. We're talking infrastructure, education, healthcare, and trying to bridge the gap between urban and rural India. It's a tough job, but hey, someone's got to do it. And now, for the woman who holds the purse strings of the nation, Smart Nirmala Sitharaman, the Minister of Finance and Corporate Affairs. If you thought managing your own finances was hard, try managing the finances of a country with a GDP of over $3 trillion. She's basically India's chief accountant, except instead of balancing spreadsheets, she's balancing the entire economy. From taxation to inflation to keeping the stock market from going haywire, Sitharaman has her work cut out for her. And in a global economy that's about as stable as a Jenga tower built on a roller coaster, she's got her work cut out for her. Hold on to your passports, because we're about to enter the world of international diplomacy with Dr. Subramaniam Jaishankar, the Minister of External Affairs. He's India's globe-trotting diplomat, jet-setting around the world, negotiating treaties, and trying to make sure India doesn't accidentally start World War III. From navigating the choppy waters of US-China relations to strengthening ties with India's neighbors, Dr. Jaishankar has a lot on his plate. And with India's growing global influence, his job is only going to get more challenging and hopefully more rewarding in the years to come. From the global stage, we return to the home front, specifically to the urban jungle, with Shri Manohar Lal, the Minister of Housing, Urban Affairs and Power. He's the man responsible for making sure India's cities don't collapse under the weight of their own population. Housing, infrastructure, sanitation, electricity. These are just some of the things that fall under his purview. Think of him as India's chief city planner, trying to create livable, sustainable cities for a rapidly urbanizing population. It's a monumental task, sort of like playing SimCity, except in real life and with a lot more traffic. Next up, we have Shri H.D. Kumaraswamy, the Minister of Heavy Industries and Steel. He's the man in charge of one of the backbones of the Indian economy, the industrial sector. From steel production to heavy machinery, he's responsible for keeping the wheels of industry turning. Think of him as India's chief engineer, overseeing the production of everything from cars to ships to those giant cranes that lift heavy things. It's a crucial role, and one that's only going to become more important as India's economy continues to grow. Hold on to your wallets, because we're about to enter the world of international trade with Shri Piyush Goyal, the Minister of Commerce and Industry. He's India's deal maker, negotiating trade agreements, promoting Indian businesses abroad, and trying to make sure India gets a fair shake in the global market. Think of him as India's chief salesman, traveling the world, hawking Indian goods, and trying to make sure India's trade deficit doesn't spiral out of control. It's a tough job, especially in today's uncertain global economy, but someone's got to do it. Now, let's turn our attention to the future of India, its children, with Shri Dharmendra Pradhan, the Minister of Education. He's the man responsible for shaping the minds of the next generation of Indians. From primary education to higher education, he's in charge of it all. Think of him as India's chief teacher, trying to create an education system that prepares Indian students for the challenges of the 21st century. It's a daunting task, but a vital one, because as they say, the children are our future. From the classrooms, we move to the bustling world of small businesses with Srijitan Ram Manji, the Minister of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, MSME. Now, these might not be the glamorous, multinational corporations that grab headlines, but they are the backbone of the Indian economy, employing millions and driving innovation. He's like the patron saint of mom-and-pop shops, the champion of the little guy trying to make a living. He's responsible for creating policies that support small businesses, providing them with access to credit, and helping them navigate the often Byzantine world of Indian bureaucracy. Back to the countryside we go with Shri Rajiv Ranjan Singh, alias Lalan Singh, the Minister of Rural Development and Animal Husbandry. His portfolio is all about uplifting rural India, improving livelihoods, and ensuring that the benefits of development reach every corner of the country. Think of him as the bridge between urban India and rural India, trying to bring electricity, clean water, and economic opportunities to villages that are often left behind. And let's not forget about the animals. He's also in charge of ensuring the health and well-being of India's vast livestock population. Ahoy there, mateys! Joining us now is Shri Sonowal, the Minister of Ports, Shipping and Waterways. He's the man in charge of India's vast coastline and its network of rivers, trying to turn India into a global maritime hub. He's overseeing the development of ports, the expansion of shipping routes, and the promotion of inland water transport. It's all about efficiency, reducing transportation costs, and making sure goods flow smoothly in and out of India. Our next guest is Dr. Virendra Kumar, the Minister of Social Justice and Empowerment. He's the man tasked with fighting for the rights of India's marginalized communities, the scheduled castes, the scheduled tribes, and other backward classes. From affirmative action to educational opportunities to economic empowerment, he's working to create a more just and equitable society for all Indians. It's a fight against deep-seated prejudice and discrimination, and it's a fight that requires empathy, compassion, and a whole lot of political will. Fasten your seatbelts, because we're taking off with Shri Kinjarapu Ramohan Naidu, the Minister of Civil Aviation. He's the man responsible for the skies above India, overseeing the growth of the aviation sector, making sure planes run on time, or at least trying to, and hopefully bringing down those exorbitant airfares. Think of him as India's air traffic controller, guiding the growth of one of the fastest growing aviation markets in the world. It's a challenging job, but one that comes with the perk of getting to fly on airplanes. Probably. Now, let's talk about the things that matter to you, the consumer, with Shri Pralhad Joshi, the Minister of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution and Environment, Forest and Climate Change. He's the guy who makes sure you're not getting ripped off at the market, that the food you're eating is safe, and that the environment isn't completely destroyed in the process. He's like the protector of your pantry and the planet, all rolled into one. From regulating prices to promoting sustainable consumption to battling climate change, he's got a lot on his plate. Next up, we have Shri Jwal Oram, the Minister of Tribal Affairs. He's the voice for India's tribal communities, who often live in remote areas and face unique challenges. From protecting their land rights, to preserving their culture, to providing them with access to education and healthcare, he's fighting for their rights and their well-being. Think of him as the bridge between India's tribal communities and the mainstream, trying to ensure that they too have a voice in the development of the nation. Get ready for a fashion show, because our next guest is Shri Giriraj Singh, the Minister of Textiles. He's the man responsible for one of India's oldest and largest industries, the textile sector. From cotton farmers to silk weavers to garment manufacturers, he's working to keep this vital industry thriving. Think of him as the fashion designer of the Indian economy, trying to create a vibrant and competitive textile industry that can compete on the global stage. It's all about preserving traditional crafts, promoting innovation, and making sure India's textile industry remains a global player. Hold on to your smartphones, because we're about to enter the digital age with Shri Ashwini Vaishnaw, the Minister of Railways, Communications, Electronics and Information Technology. That's right, he's in charge of trains, phones, and the internet. Basically, everything you need to survive in the 21st century. He's like the conductor of the digital revolution in India, trying to modernize the railways, expand internet connectivity, and promote the growth of the technology sector. It's a massive undertaking, but one that has the potential to transform India into a digital superpower. Next up, we have Shri Jyotiraditya M. Scindia, the Minister of Civil Aviation and Steel. He's got a lot on his plate, from managing the skies to overseeing the production of steel, which is kind of like being in charge of both birds and metal at the same time. He's like the multitasker-in-chief, trying to ensure that planes run on time, steel production meets demand, and that India's infrastructure continues to grow. Let's take a deep breath of fresh air, if we can find any, with Shri Bhupender Yadav, the Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. He's the man responsible for protecting India's environment, from its forests to its wildlife to its air and water quality. Think of him as India's environmental superhero, battling pollution, climate change, and the ever-present threat of development at the cost of the environment. It's a thankless job, but a vital one. Because if we don't have a planet to live on, all those other ministerial portfolios are going to be pretty useless. Get ready for a cultural experience with Shri Gajendra Singh Shekhawat, the Minister of Jal Shakti. He's the man in charge of India's most precious resource, water. From managing rivers to ensuring water security to promoting sanitation, he's got a lot on his plate. Think of him as India's water warrior, fighting drought, floods, and the ever-growing demand for water in a rapidly growing country. It's a critical job because without water, there's no life, and without clean water, there's only misery. Our next guest is Smart Anpurna Devi, the Minister of Women and Child Development. She's the voice for India's women and children, fighting for their rights, their well-being, and their future. From combating malnutrition to providing access to education to empowering women economically, she's working to create a brighter future for India's most vulnerable citizens. It's a challenging job, but one that comes with the satisfaction of knowing that you're making a real difference in the lives of millions. Hold on to your gavels, because we're about to enter the world of Indian Parliament with Shri Kiren Rijiju, the Minister of Law and Justice. He's the man responsible for upholding the law of the land, ensuring justice is served, and keeping things from descending into chaos in the halls of Parliament. Think of him as India's chief referee, trying to maintain order in a place where debates can get heated and political maneuvering is an art form. It's a tough job, but someone's got to do it. Next up, we have Shri Hardeep Singh Puri, the Minister of Petroleum and Natural Gas and Housing and Urban Affairs. He's the man responsible for keeping the lights on and the cars running, overseeing India's energy security and its quest for affordable and sustainable energy sources. Think of him as India's energy czar, navigating the complex world of oil prices, renewable energy, and the delicate balance between economic growth and environmental protection. It's a high-stakes job, and one that's only going to get more challenging as India's energy demands continue to grow. Let's put on our hard hats and get to work with Dr. Mansukh Mandaviya, the Minister of Health and Family Welfare and Chemicals and Fertilizers. He's the man responsible for the health of India's workforce, ensuring they have access to healthcare, affordable medicines, and a safe working environment. Think of him as India's chief doctor, trying to keep 1 billion people healthy and productive. It's a massive undertaking, but one that's essential for India's continued economic growth and development. Now, let's delve into the world of mining with Shri G. Kishan Reddy, the Minister of Culture and Tourism. He's responsible for promoting India's rich cultural heritage and its vibrant tourism industry. Think of him as India's chief storyteller, sharing India's history, art, and traditions with the world. From ancient temples to bustling markets to stunning natural landscapes, he's showcasing the diversity and beauty of India to attract tourists and boost the economy. Get ready for a culinary journey with Shri Chirag Paswan, the Minister of Food Processing Industries. He's the man responsible for turning India's agricultural bounty into processed food products that can be consumed domestically and exported around the world. Think of him as India's chief chef, whipping up a recipe for economic growth using the freshest ingredients from India's farms. From pickles to potato chips to ready-to-eat meals, he's promoting the growth of the food processing industry, creating jobs and adding value to India's agricultural output. And finally, we come to Shri C.R. Patil, the Minister of Jal Shakti. He's the man in charge of ensuring that India has enough water to drink, to irrigate its crops, and to sustain its industries. From managing rivers to building dams to promoting water conservation, he's got a lot on his plate. Think of him as India's water guardian, protecting this precious resource for future generations. It's a challenging job, but one that's absolutely vital in a country where water scarcity is a growing concern. So, there you have it, a whirlwind tour of India's cabinet and the immense responsibilities they shoulder. Understanding their roles is key to understanding the forces shaping India's future, from its economy to its foreign policy to the very fabric of its society. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Who are you most interested in learning more about? What issues do you think deserve the most attention from these leaders? Your engagement helps fuel these conversations and keeps our democracy vibrant. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more insightful content.